welcome to the deep dive. Today we have a fascinating and really specific mission. We're taking a deep dive into the foundational geometry and, well, the headcount of the U.S. state of Illinois.
Right.
The sources you provided were, they were surgical. They just stripped away all the historical narrative, the politics, the stories.
Leaving us with just the pure, essential data points. It's a study in efficiency, really.
It is.
We're basically getting the architectural blueprint for the state before we even look at the paint colors.
Exactly.
And understanding these foundational numbers, the location, the physical size, the baseline population, you have to get that first. It's the key to grasping the state's economic and political reality.
We're not reading a history book today. We're establishing the coordinates, the parameters of the box.
Defining the vessel, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So this deep dive, it's going to systematically cover 6 very specific pieces of information, all pulled directly from the material you have. We've got the official name, the specific English pronunciation, the location, its area in square kilometers, the population figure from the year 2000, the capital city, and then finally the resulting population density.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start with that core identity. Illinois. It's defined simply as a state of the United States. But one detail in the source that immediately stood out to me was the inclusion of a specific formal English pronunciation guide. Yes, that phonetic guide is absolutely key.
Why so important?
Well, in the world of data collection, cartography, accuracy is everything. It immediately standardizes how we refer to this place. It removes any ambiguity, corrects all those common mispronunciations you hear. It just grounds the whole discussion in, linguistic precision.
So we have the name defined exactly, but geographically, where does this entity actually sit inside the massive structure of the United States?
The material is very clear on this. It says Illinois is in the central region of the country.
Central.
And that's not just a casual description. It really defines its character. If you connect this to the bigger picture, being central means it is, by definition, an intersection.
Right, a crossroads. A crossroads. It's landlocked, far from the big coastal economies, which forced its identity to be all about internal infrastructure, about continental logistics.
So the implication there is that this central location made it an early economic powerhouse. It shifted focus away from the coasts and toward the continent itself.
Precisely. That central position dictated its entire development. You have these major river systems all feeding into the interior, which historically made it a vital link for commerce, for agriculture.
Moving north and south.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then later, its railroads, its interstates, they were all designed to pivot right there. It became one of the biggest corridors for east-west and north-south travel. Its physical spot on the map determined its destiny from the very start.
Okay, so if Illinois is this crucial geographical access point, the next question is, how big is it? Let's move from location to scale.
Right, the physical dimensions. The source material gives us a huge, very specific measurement for the state's total area. It's 140,998 square kilometers.
Wow, 140,998. That's a number that just feels abstract.
Yeah.
What does that immense size actually mean in reality?
Well, what's fascinating is that this single number, that 140,998, it basically dictates the magnitude of every single internal challenge the state faces. To give you some context, that is roughly the same physical size as a country like Greece.
Okay, that puts it in perspective. We're talking about a vast canvas.
A vast canvas. And that immediately gives you an idea of the scale of effort it takes just to govern the place.
Absolutely.
That size means the state has massive variations in land use, in geology. You're dealing with enormous, flat, fertile farm plains in one area, and then major industrial river valleys in another, completely different geological features in the south. This huge area dictates the sheer scale of everything from resource management to infrastructure.
Just making sure the roads can cover that much ground.
Exactly. It's a logistical challenge that's baked right into its geometry.
So we have the size of the box.
Yeah.
A massive 140,998 square kilometers of centrally located U.S. geography. Now, to really understand its identity, we have to look at the headcount. How many people are living inside that box?
Yes, and this is where the precision of your source material becomes analytical gold. We don't just have a modern guess. We have a figure that's locked to a specific date, the year 2000.
Here's where we gain true insight. The source states the population count from the year 2000 was 12,831,970 people.
That specific number, 12,831,970, is incredibly important for setting a baseline.
Okay.
Now, you might ask, wait, why are we focusing on a population count from 2000? Isn't that, irrelevant today.
That's a fair challenge.
Right.
Why anchor our understanding to a number that's over 2 decades old?
Because that number defined the state's political weight class for the entire next decade.
Ah, I see.
Census data is what drives the reapportionment of congressional seats, federal funding, infrastructure planning, all of it. So that 12.8 million figure taken at the turn of the millennium, it set the state's electoral power. It defined the demand for schools, hospitals, transit, all through the early 21st century.
So it's the numerical snapshot.
It's the snapshot. It informs how the state was functioning and how its budget was built during that entire era.
It's the moment the state checked in and said, this is how big we are. Nearly 13 million people occupying 140,998 square kilometers. It's a serious concentration of people in the heartland.
It is. And when you have a population this large, it inevitably creates a specific internal structure. You get these concentrations of power and commerce, which brings us to the formal seat of government.
Okay, let's nail down that administrative fact. The official capital city, as designated in the source material, is Springfield.
Springfield. Now, that official designation is a fascinating political counterpoint to the population figure we just talked about.
Oh, so?
In many large states, the political center is deliberately not the economic or population center.
Right, you see that a lot. Why is that? Why not just put the capital where most of the people are?
It's often a compromise or a historical effort to decentralize political power away from the massive urban engines. If you put the capital in the already dominant city, you risk concentrating way too much economic and political gravity in one spot. Springfield's designation. It really speaks to the internal need to balance the immense power of the larger population centers with the need for accessible governance somewhere else in that vast territory. It's a political compromise.
So the choice of capital is an active decision about internal politics, about spreading influence across that huge landmass.
Exactly. And that political decision brings us to our final and maybe most revealing metric. It's the one that merges the size of the land with the number of people to quantify that whole internal structure, population density.
Okay, so we've established the 140,998 square kilometers and the 12,831,970 people. What happens when we divide one by the other?
The source material gives us the derived figure, 223.4 people per square kilometer. Now, I do need to address something here because the sources use a bit of an unusual notation. They cite this as jiwacom.
Right, I saw that. That's jargon we absolutely need to clarify. What is jiwa?
Jiwa is an Indonesian word. It means soul or life, and it's sometimes used in specific international demographic contexts to just mean inhabitants or people.
Okay, so it just means people per square kilometer.
For our purposes, yes. 223.4 people per square kilometer. And that number, that's what tells the story of the state's character.
223.4.
Yeah.
So this raises an important question for me. Does that number really tell us the story, or does it actually mislead us about the state's true nature?
That is exactly the right question to ask. Because density is the ultimate, well, you called it a vibe check metric earlier.
Yeah.
But it's just an average. If those nearly 13 million people were spread out evenly, 223 people per square kilometer would feel pretty crowded everywhere. But we know that's not how it works.
Right, people clump together.
They clump together. And because we know that huge area includes vast, empty agricultural plains, that 223.4 figure really confirms that Illinois is a state of extremes.
Meaning there must be huge areas where the density is close to zero, and then these massive urban centers where the density just explodes, maybe into the thousands of people per square kilometer.
That's the key structural insight. The density number isn't a picture of average life, it's a picture of tension. The state is not uniformly dense. It's characterized by the internal struggle to manage that spatial disparity. A few densely packed hubs driving the politics and economics, supported by a vast, less populated area providing the backbone.
Wow.
The entire identity of Illinois is defined by the management of that 223.4 average pressure.
That really is a deep dive into just the numbers. We've established the geometry, the head count, the pressure. We haven't used a single anecdote, but I feel like we have a profound understanding of the state's structure now.
To quickly reiterate the 6 facts we've just analyzed, we nailed down the name Illinois, along with its specific pronunciation.
Yep.
We established its position as a central state of the United States.
We confirmed the sheer size, 140,998 square kilometers. And we locked in that essential population baseline from the year 2000, 12,831,970 people.
Don't forget the capital.
And we noted the administrative capital, Springfield.
And finally, that synthesizing figure, the density, which is 223.4 people per square kilometer. That number shows the average pressure exerted by all those people across that massive central region.
So what does this foundation, this numerical bedrock, allow us to understand moving forward?
It means you now have the structural context for any future discussion about Illinois. The state is defined by the sheer numerical weight of its population relative to its vast, centrally located area. This dynamic interplay is crucial because it dictates everything.
Where infrastructure money goes?
Where political battles will be fought, where economic investment will flow, it all comes back to these numbers.
We needed precision, and the source is really delivered. This efficiency gives us such a clean starting point.
Exactly. And to leave you with a final provocative thought to consider, think about that specific population figure from 2000, the 12,831,970 people, and that specific density of 223.4.
Right.
If the population were to increase or decrease by just 1% since then, how dramatically would that 223.4 average break down? And how much must the state's internal structure, especially around the capital, Springfield, have to change to accommodate even that modest shift in those two defining numbers? The entire system's equilibrium is balanced on those specific metrics.